Well, we're just launching the commission on Next Localism. The commission itself is a bunch of 6 or 7 very, very highly qualified people, chaired by Raphael Baer from the New Statesman. We've got chief execs like Chris Bull, Sheena Ramsey. We've got leaders like Andrew Povey, Peter John. We've got academics. We've got thinkers from outside local government. So it's a really sparky group. And the aim really is to refresh the debate about localism, about local government. We're going to try and set the agenda for the next decade, working with our partners out in the sector. And some of the areas we'll be looking at, we want to look at the role of councillors and of politics in this changing world. We want to look at local government finance, which is obviously critical. We're looking at operating models for the future council, the future shape of public services, future citizen demands, the future role of Whitehall. Essentially, we're trying to take a very broad and ambitious view, I think, across the whole spectrum of issues that affect local government. I think the big difference this time, in a word, is localism. In the past, certainly over the past decade or so, we've tried to drive change in a top-down way. There's been lots of money, local government's gotten much better, but the improvements have generally been pretty incremental. You know, we've become a lot more efficient, a lot more effective, but the services are pretty much the same in many areas as they were a decade ago. You know, what's changing now is a combination of things. So firstly, we are starting to push a bit more power out to localities and local government, not as much as ministers think they are, but some. And when I talk to chief executives at the moment, you know, they recognise that it's a very hard period they're about to go through, but they also feel that they're in control of their own destinies, a lot of them in a way they haven't been in the past. So I think there are huge opportunities for local government to grasp the future, to shape it for itself. I think we've got a government which is very far from perfect, but is listening perhaps in a way that the previous government didn't to arguments for more decentralisation. And I think, you know, our challenge for the Commission is to maximise that opportunity. You know, let's give the government the benefit of the doubt. Let's assume they mean this, and let's push them to provide the tools, the power, and the decentralisation to make a reality of a much more localised Britain, because that's what we all want. So clearly, the government wants to push more audit out to the private sector. Yeah, that's fine. I think that's broadly what most of us would have expected. But Eric Pickles was very clear when he got rid of the Audit Commission that he wanted this to result in cheaper audit. It's not obvious to us that that's what's going to happen. You know, when we saw market concentration in audit firms in the 80s and 90s, prices did tend to rise. And clearly one of the things the Audit Commission did was package up places that were expensive to audit with places that were cheaper and more profitable. That may well happen less now. So questions about, you know, if you're remote, if you're small, could your costs actually rise? And then one of the things that I think might have gotten a bit lost in the debate is that issue of accountability. You know, how will we ensure that audit does drive accountability to local people, to armchair auditors? I've not seen a lot about that in the debate. Well, the resource review is quite exciting in the sense that it does appear to be, at the very least, looking to decentralise some funding power to local government, probably not localise, but decentralise. Clearly the leading option is around letting councils keep more of the uplift from their business rates, so it's a sort of LabGI on steroids. And I think that's an interesting option, that's a good thing. Most councils I speak to would like that. The challenge, of course, is going to be equalisation. How do you even out differences in business rate bases across the country? And that's really tough because, you know, unless the government can find some new money to even things out, equalisation is going to create winners and losers, and poor areas look likely to be among the bigger losers. So, you know, that's the really big question I think the government's got to answer.